My husband, Chris Hixon, was one of the murder victims. He was the adult that ran into the building to try to stop the shooter, to do something to save other people. And I'm just completely devastated and shocked by this verdict. To me, what it says to me, what it says to my family, what it says to the other families is that his life meant more than the 17 that were murdered and the 17 that were shot and the thousands of people in that school, in that community that are terrorized and traumatized every single day. Even if every single one of those mitigating circumstances was true, which we all, I think, believe are not, but even if they were, how does any one of those mitigators outweigh those aggravating factors that they all agreed were true? How do you say, yes, it's cruel, that it was heinous, that it was planned, and we all agree on that, but oh, he might have had a mental illness or he had trouble growing up. I have a son with special needs. I have a son that checked all of those boxes, or a lot of those boxes, that the shooter did as well. And you know what? My son's not a murderer. My son is the sweetest person that you could ever meet. This person had services. He had love. He had the best upbringing his mother could give him. But even if he didn't, how does that outweigh cruel, heinous, planned? It doesn't. It just doesn't. I don't care who you are. There's no way that you could look at those mitigating circumstances and believe for 1 second that they outweigh the aggravators and that the life of that person is more important and more valuable than the life of the 17 that were taken and all of the other people that live through that trauma every single day. So I'd like to say I have no words, but apparently I have a lot of them.
Then for those jurors, if they will be watching this later, or do you want to know what went on in that deliberation room? Like, what were their thoughts?
I agree with what a lot of people have said. There has to have been someone who maybe thought they could. Maybe they did. I also believe in grace and giving people the benefit of the doubt. And maybe when they're sitting there and you're asking them questions and they think, yeah, I can do that. But when faced with that decision, that it just maybe was something they didn't have in their makeup to be able to do. But they really should have asked themselves that question harder before they agreed to sit on this jury.
Deb, yesterday you told me that you thought that if there was a death penalty verdict, that would sort of allow you to perhaps close the door on the anger phase of what you've been through and move on to the healing phase. What are you thinking now?
Definitely that anger phase is going to take a little longer to move through. Because to me, like I said, here I am thinking that they're going through yes, yes, yes on those aggravators. How can you say yes to every single aggravator and then no to the death penalty? Beyond a reasonable doubt, they believe that they proved those mitigators. So it will have to be something I resolve within myself, with my family, because really right now it feels that his life is more valuable than Christopher's, and that is not true. Never.
Ms. Hixon, do you believe that the FBI, the Broward Sheriff's Office, and now the jury has failed your husband's terrorism? Has failed him?
I do. In a lot of those instances, there was an opportunity to stop the shooter before he even got through figuring out his plan. BSO took a long time to get there. And now, again, someone else believes that someone's life is more valuable than my husband's. And that makes me, I can't even give you the right words how that makes me feel right now.
As a member of the school board now, do you think this makes it more difficult for the schools to stop this kind of event from taking place?
I don't know if it makes it more difficult for schools. We are working very hard to increase our security. it does, and it should say something to society that we have to look at who we allow to own firearms, how we address mental health in our communities, and where we give grace when it's warranted. So.
Debbie, we don't know how many jurors wanted to go with life.
Correct.
But did you expect a longer, more involved discussion among the jurors to maybe sway others on death, as opposed to the speed at which the jury came back here?
It's a good question. So clearly the aggravators were very easy to go through. I think all of us would agree that 100% were all 7 of them without a doubt completely proven. So in the defense, if you listened to the defense's closing statement, they basically told them that they couldn't, if one person said life, you were done. Like, you weren't allowed to have that. So honestly, I don't know how much of them are, what they're able to do, but it seemed...
The opportunity to engage the other jurors.
Correct.
I want you to reconsider. Did you expect more of a debate within that jury room versus the speed at which they came back?
To be honest, I thought it would not take as long, because if you clearly saw the aggravating factors, that mitigating could never, there are some mitigating factors you could check off, but I personally don't see how one single one of them weighs heavier than any of those 7 aggravators. So I thought that it was done earlier or quickly, because they all said, yes, there are mitigating factors, but 100% they do not outweigh all of these aggravators that we did. So shocked at the outcome, but I didn't think it was going to take them a whole long time to do that.
And I have one other question, which is, I saw you leave the courtroom with your son. You told me in the past the difficulty of explaining to him about his father's death. What did you explain to him today, or how did you explain to him?
Of course, he was very upset, and more, I think, because he felt the room, us being upset in the room. But we just tried to explain to him also that this person is still being punished. So at the end of the day, I've said it a number of times, life or death, our life doesn't change at home. We don't have Chris. Our life, our family is not whole anymore, and we move through the process of how we get through each day. So this doesn't change what happens in our house. It changes emotionally how we feel about society. I think in general, the fact that you could think that someone who murdered 17 people because he had a mental illness, which I don't think any of us would disagree. There's no normal person that's going to do what he did. But that does not outweigh the aggravating factors that were proven in this case.
Debbie, what would you want to say to the shooter today?
I think that he should give thanks to God that someone had grace and mercy for him that he did not share with those other people. And keep in mind, my husband was one of those that he came back and shot again, because Chris survived. He would have survived if he hadn't come and shot him the 3rd time. So I hope that he understands the gift that he's been given. I doubt that he will, but I do hope that he understands what that gift is, and that he's somehow able to take that and do something different than the trajectory he's been on for all of his life.
Did you believe in the death penalty before you got this death?
I did not. And I would have been one of those people that would have thought, we can rehabilitate people, that it's not up to us. And it's been a struggle for these last 4.5 years to feel so strongly that this person doesn't deserve to walk on the earth. But you find yourself in a different position and you change your mind. But it's a struggle for sure.
Do you have any thoughts on why they wanted to see the gun? Did anything go through your mind? Did that signal anything to you? Did you feel more hopeful that it would be a death penalty?
Yeah, actually, that's a good question. Yes, because they had just asked about the the cross-examination where they were talking about trigger fingers and things of that nature. So to feel how heavy. Remember, 139 times he pulled that trigger in 7 minutes. So the idea that he was below average in being able to tap something is clearly not what's reality in this instance.
Do you think somebody wanted to feel the gun and to get an idea?
I would guess so. And, some people maybe just wanted to see it. Who knows? So anyway, but thank you so much.